between San Antonio and Austin stands an aging yet majestic building, the Faust Hotel, a relic from 1929. Its limestone walls and wrought iron balconies whisper tales of jazz, prohibition, and shadows that linger a bit too long. When Clara Evans, a writer from Houston, booked room 215 for a weekend retreat, she expected peace, inspiration, silence. What she got was a story she'd never forget. Clara had grown tired of the noise of the city, the constant hum of traffic and buzzing phones. She longed for a place where time felt slower. The Faust Hotel, with its antique charm and quiet corridors, promised just that. She arrived on a cloudy Friday afternoon, suitcase in hand, and mind already wandering into plots and characters. Clara stepped into the lobby and was immediately struck by the atmosphere. The checkered tile floors gleamed despite their age. A grand chandelier hung overhead, swaying ever so slightly, as if caught in a breeze that no one else could feel. The front desk, carved from dark oak, stood as a sentinel to history. On one side of the lobby was a bar, empty at that hour but lined with rows of glistening bottles. Behind it, a mirror stretched the length of the wall, reflecting the room like a silent witness. "Welcome to the Faust," the receptionist greeted her. "Room 215 is ready." As she was handed the brass key, Clara noticed a fleeting look pass between the receptionist and the bellhop. Something unsaid, something heavy. "Room 215, the bellhop said, his voice low. "Some guests say it has personality." Clara laughed politely. "Well, I'm a writer. I welcome strange energy." But as she followed the bellhop up the winding staircase, she felt a weight settle on her shoulders, the kind that only certain buildings, steeped in stories and loss, could give. Room 215 was quaint. A large four-poster bed, an antique dresser, heavy velvet curtains that blocked out most of the daylight. The air smelled of lavender and something older, perhaps the building itself. There was an old radio on the nightstand, its knobs worn from decades of use. A small writing desk sat by the window, overlooking the quiet street below. Clara unpacked slowly, already imagining the stories she'd write. But beneath her excitement, there was a current of unease, a draft that shouldn't exist, a flicker in the light bulb. She told herself it was just the age of the building. That night, Clara sat at her desk, trying to write. The words came slowly. Her thoughts wandered. At some point, she realized the time. Just past midnight. Her throat was dry, and she remembered the bar downstairs. The hotel was unusually silent. As she stepped into the hallway, the carpet muffled her footsteps. There were no other guests in sight, no signs of movement. She descended the stairs slowly, the wood groaning beneath her weight. Everything felt frozen in time. When Clara reached the bar, she stopped short. A glass of red wine sat on the counter, fresh, untouched, waiting. There was no bartender, no staff. The room was dimly lit, the chandelier swaying slightly, casting long shadows. She looked around, hesitant. Maybe someone left it. Maybe the bartender had stepped away. But then she heard it. Whisper, low, deep, right against her ear. On the house. Clara spun around, heart pounding. No one. The room remained empty, the the air suddenly cold. She backed away, unsure whether to run or scream, but the fear passed quickly, replaced by confusion. She picked up the glass, hand trembling. The wine was perfectly chilled. The whisper had felt real, too real. Back in her room, Clara placed the glass on the writing desk. She couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone, that something had followed her back upstairs. At exactly 2:15 a.m., the lights flickered. The old radio turned on by itself, letting out a burst of static. Then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. She froze. From the bathroom came a voice, barely audible. Cheers. She crept toward the bathroom. The air was icy. The mirror was fogged, though she hadn't used hot water. Scrawled into the condensation were 6 chilling letters. H-E-E-R, Clara gasped. Her knees nearly buckled. She stared at her own reflection, wondering if she was dreaming. But the mirror was clear again, within seconds, leaving her no evidence, just fear. The next morning, Clara took the wine glass and went straight to the front desk. I need to ask, who poured this? The receptionist frowned. Ma'am, the bar closes at 10. It's locked after that. Clara explained the voice, the footsteps, the mirror. A silence fell. Then the receptionist said, You're not the first. There was a bartender once, she continued. Vincent. He worked here for years. Everyone loved him. Guests, staff. He passed away in room 215. Heart attack. Clara's blood ran cold. That room was his favorite, the receptionist added. After he died, strange things started happening. Other guests had reported similar things. Drinks appear without being ordered. The smell of whiskey in empty hallways. Music from the bar at night. A man in a black vest cleaning glasses, but disappearing before anyone could speak to him. One couple even claimed their lights blinked every time they said, bartender. It wasn't just a haunting. It was a routine, a memory replay, as if Vincent was still doing his job, still caring for guests, still walking the same halls he once did. Clara became obsessed. She began documenting everything, timing the events, testing responses. Every night at 2:15 a.m., the lights flickered. Every night, the voice whispered. On her third day, Clara discovered something tucked into a drawer beneath the desk. A leather-bound journal. Inside were cocktail recipes, guest names, notes like, Miss H prefers dry martinis. And one final entry. Room 215 tonight. Last shift. Hope they remember me. Vincent. That night, Clara left $1 on the bar. She watched and waited. Nothing. When she returned to her room, the dollar bill was on her pillow. And beside it, another whisper. Thank you. Clara set up her laptop to record while she slept. The footage was quiet until 2:15 a.m. Then the door creaked open. A shadow crossed the floor. A hand, faint, almost translucent, placed something on her nightstand. Then it vanished. Word spread online. Clara shared her experience, and others began commenting. Photos of drinks left untouched. Videos of glasses moving. EVP recordings of On the House. The hotel didn't deny it anymore. In fact, they began offering ghost tours. Room 215 became a sensation. Paranormal investigators visited. Ghost hunters filmed a YouTube series. But no one could explain how precise, how consistent the hauntings were. Vincent wasn't angry. He wasn't evil. He was just still working. In 2022, a man from Austin checked into room 215 with his DSLR. He left a note. "Let's meet Vincent." He was never seen again. The footage from his camera was found, playing on loop. The last frame showed a glass sliding across the bar by itself. Clara returned 1 year later. She sat alone at the bar, left 2 glasses of wine, whispered to Vincent. When she stood to leave, she heard it one final time. Cheers. And as she walked away, both glasses were empty. The Faust Hotel remains. Elegant, quiet, haunted. Room 215 is always booked, and somewhere behind the bar, Vincent still waits, still watching, still serving. After all, ghosts don't haunt places they hate. They haunt the places they loved. If you ever visit New Braunfels, check into the Faust. Order a drink after midnight, and if you hear a whisper, don't run. Just raise your glass. On the house.